Today we're going to talk about downsizing, and in particular, am I ready to downsize? Is it time for me? Stay tuned. So we're going to talk about downsizing today. And Vic, how does someone know if it's time for them to think about downsizing?
I've had this conversation with a lot of clients in the last several years, and there's things that seem to prompt each one that are similar to each case, and then there's things that are different. But if you're even thinking about downsizing, now's the time to start looking into it at least and seeing what it involves, because honestly, it is a journey that will lead to life, not to death. This is an exciting time of life. And Dave and I downsized early, and it was the best thing we ever did because we have an unencumbered and liberated life to enjoy without things that we no longer need, no longer want, are no longer relevant to our lifestyle. And we want to talk to you about that today. So I look at it like this. Seasons of life are like seasons in nature. For instance, I grew up in New England, and in August, at the end of the month when it was still warm, we started to notice that at the tops of the trees, there was color just beginning. Now, it was still warm outside, but we knew fall was coming and that it was imminent. So it was time to start preparing for that. So if you're having those little nagging thoughts about should we downsize? Is this house too big? I'm tired of taking care of it. All of those things, that should signal to you that you really owe it to yourself to see if it's an option that would be good for you at this time. And options are many, so we want to talk to you about those today. And they're all good. I've had clients say to me, and they're in perfect health, maybe late 60s, early 70s. So there's no physical reason to consider downsizing, but they have that second home. And suddenly the yearning to go back up north comes. And this is one that catches people by surprise because they always thought that when they moved to Florida, that would be their forever home. But we find that there are reverse snowbirds, and the longing starts happening for family. And you find that it's no longer okay with you to miss out on the grandchildren's sports events. You realize at this stage of life that time is limited, and you want to make it all count, and you want to make it all wonderful. So there's folks that will sell their home in Florida and move back up north. Never saw that coming. And then there's other folks that have the beautiful home, 3,500 square feet, everything they ever dreamed of, but suddenly it seems a burden. They want to live a different lifestyle. You may want to travel. You may want to just be able to go up north whenever you want to see your kids, or do things you've never done before in your life. But you actually start to feel encumbered by the very home that was a blessing to you up to now. So perhaps for you, downsizing would mean selling that 3,500 square foot house and moving into a one-story maintenance-free villa. And we did something similar in our early 50s. We were actually early to the game, where we made a decision as baby boomers to move to Florida because our only grandchild lived here, and we didn't want to miss out on any more of her life. So we left the beautiful home in New England with the 10 rooms, an acre and a third, all of that, and moved to Florida in a one-story villa where we actually live a more European lifestyle, which to me means that life is lived outside of the four walls of the home with people and things and causes that matter to us at this point. And because the liberating thing was knowing that in Florida, it wasn't like New England where you had a basement, an attic, and a garage to fill things up with. we knew that storage was limited, so it forced us to make everything in our lives relevant. And that's exactly what we did. And we have no regrets. We've been here 10 years now. It was worth everything. And what we unloaded up there, we traded for a beautiful life here. So it's about living. It's about living your best life. You want to make these decisions. Here's the big thing. When you're having these nagging little thoughts come, is it time to downsize? You want to make these decisions while they are your decisions to make. You want to decide where you go, what is best for you, who gets your things, who wants your things, and what you want next. You want those decisions to be yours, not someone else's. You don't want them to be made under duress. You don't want them to be made by a spouse that will be under duress if anything happens to you. I think the thing we hear most of all from folks that have downsized and moved on to their next thing, whether it's the one-story villa or CCRC, which is a continuing care retirement community, which are really lifestyle communities. Don't be fooled by that. They're not nursing homes. These folks are living it up and enjoying life like they never had before. And the thing the staff hears most of all is, I wish I had done this sooner. Well, who wouldn't, with the lifestyle that they have at these places? So that may be your best option. And or the one-story villa. Or it may be being a reverse snowbird and going back to live up north with family and friends again. You'd be surprised. It's as personal, the decisions are as personal as the people are. So don't be afraid of it. It's a wonderful thing.
So there's different kinds of downsizing,
There's
right?
different kinds of downsizing. That's absolutely right. And they're all about living, by the way.
And these are big decisions, right?
They're huge decisions.
So you want to make them early, and you want to, like you said, make them while you are still in control.
That's right.
What advice would you give to people? Because, we collect so much stuff. Right. And now we have this 3,500 square foot house. We're going to move into, say, an 1,800 square foot villa like we have, or even an 1,100 or 1,200 square foot assisted living apartment.
Right.
So what advice can you give to people about the stuff that they have? And you know what I mean?
Decide what's important to you, because you have got to liberate yourself from becoming the museum curator of your family's future belongings that you think they're going to want. Because I tell you, they probably don't. They don't want the china. They don't want the antique dining room set from Aunt Tilly or your parents. They really don't want this stuff. They don't want the boxes and boxes of photos. They have them on digital.
You can digitize those.
You can digitize those things.
That would be better.
Yes, and they take up a lot more room. I mean, think about it. Most of us read our books on Kindles. We don't even have libraries anymore. So the boxes and boxes and boxes of books are some of the most difficult things to get rid of, because no one wants them. And they don't want the china sets. They don't want your silver plate. They don't want any of that stuff. The charities don't even want it. So you decide what it is that you want and what is relevant for your life at this point. And understand too that it is hard. These are hard decisions to make, right? Because years ago, like the china really meant a lot to a newly married wife. That's right.
And we just don't, the world is different now, right?
Yeah. Listen, if you came to my mother's house, you'd be lucky you weren't served on a paper plate. So things have changed over the years. Okay, Chinette was an upgrade. So we use the good stuff. But anyway, so things have changed over the years, and lifestyles have changed. Give yourself the freedom to live the lifestyle that you want, and don't feel locked into anything. All of those things that you have. Here's the other thing that I've learned, just personally. I learned a while ago that I didn't need to make a lifetime commitment to furniture or fashion. When it no longer served me, I parted with it. And that was liberating. And you have to give yourself permission to not sell things for what you paid for them or get back the money you invested, because those things, furniture, fashion, etc., they're not investment materials. They're just things you use as long as they serve you, and then you move on. You either give them away or you sell them at a very low cost. If you live in Florida, used furniture and all of that stuff is a dime a dozen, and it's worth very little. Just get over that. Really, you just have to give yourself permission. You haven't lost anything. You haven't done anything wrong. Just move on and be free of that stuff, and just keep what's relevant to you and makes you happy at this point. So
that's a good point. I mean, we've had use of that stuff for all those years, so we've gotten our money's worth, I guess, out of it, right?
Exactly. You've gotten the use of it. That's what you paid for, was the use of it for those years, and it served you well. Now move on. Yep. What else?
One other thing. Tell us a little bit about senior real estate specialists, because if you're thinking about downsizing, obviously it's possibly that part of that might involve selling your home.
Right.
Why would they contact a senior real estate specialist?
Because as senior real estate specialist, we understand the whole scope of things involved in downsizing. There's a whole life being rearranged here and big decisions that you have to make. We understand all of that. We've got a lot of experience in that area. We can connect you with the right people when we get to know you and sit down and have consultations with you. And I say consultations because we're not coming to your house planning on listing your home. We are coming to learn about you and inform you as to what your options are and give you the information that you need to make these big decisions. And they are big decisions, and they're very personal. So what would be best for you would not be best for someone else. So we are loaded with information, and we are connected with people that are all the moving pieces that you're going to need should you decide that making a transition at this time is best for you. So if you are even thinking about downsizing today, don't hesitate to call us. Don't be afraid of the conversation. I promise you, we are easy to talk to.
I think that's a really good point. You said that we're not coming to list your home.
Right.
There's actually 4 ways that your house could be used to help finance a move like this, whether it's downsizing into a smaller villa or assisted living or whatever. Maybe we should do a video on that sometime.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, that's about it. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. I'll also put some links in the description to an article about this and some other resources. And I hope that was helpful to you guys. Have a great day.